Hey everybody, it's Samantha. Welcome to my channel. In today's video I'm going to be talking to you a little bit about a familiar face here. This is Spyro, my bearded dragon. I'm going to be talking to you a little bit about his care and kind of what goes along with keeping a bearded dragon. They can be really amazing pets, especially for beginners. They are very easy to handle as long as you're willing to do the research on their care as well as spending the money on their dietary and lighting needs. They can be really amazing. I absolutely adore them. What are you doing, boy? What are you doing? Oh, come back here. Sometimes he could be a little bit crazy. When you're handling a bearded dragon, you're going to want to use full body support on their upper body as well as their tail, or else they might not feel very secure. But okay, let's get right to it. Alright everybody, so firstly I'd like to chat with you a little bit about the actual tank size that you need for an adult bearded dragon. So a lot of people in the United States say that you need at least a 40-gallon breeder for your adult bearded dragon. I personally think this is still a little bit small. I mean, the width is there, but the length just, I feel it doesn't give them enough running room. So the tank that I have here is 48.5 inches by 18 for height and 20 for width, so this gives him plenty of space to roam around. I would like to add maybe some fake plant decor just to kind of give it a little bit of pop of color here and there, but overall he likes the running space. He seems to enjoy it a lot. Before I had him in a 75-gallon tank, which I did really like that tank, and this is almost the same size. I just wanted to give him a little bit more width, which is why I have the 20 inches there. But he seems to really enjoy it. I personally think the bigger the better for them, so as much space as you can possibly give them is best. Now, when he was a baby, I actually did keep him in a 20-gallon long tank, which suited him for a couple of months. Bearded dragon babies do grow very quickly, as he was shedding about every week when I first got him. He's actually shedding right now right there on his face, which basically just means he's growing. So that's why he's kind of flaky right there. When adult bearded dragons actually get to their adult stage, they do tend to shed in patches. So as you can see, the color is dulling a little bit on the end of his tail there, so that part must be getting ready to shed, as long as some parts on his toes. But when he was a baby, he was doing full body sheds pretty much weekly. Alright guys, so for my substrate choice, I personally really like the slate tile here. It makes for very easy cleanup. I do have paper towel on the bottom just to make sure nothing actually gets on the tank itself. But I like it because it helps keep their nails filed down, it's easy to clean, and it minimizes the risks of impaction that come with loose substrates. There are some loose substrates that can be okay, depending on how good your husbandry is. A lot of people do use play sand, but personally I don't like to risk it, and it can harbor a lot of bacteria, which means a lot of cleaning. So in my opinion, it's just kind of making a little bit more work for yourself. But the substrates that you find at pet stores, like the calcium sand, can actually be pretty bad for bearded dragons. It's not actually digestible like it says on the packaging. The calcium in it actually causes it to build up in the dragon's intestines and can definitely cause blockages. So if you are going to use a sand, make sure it is a safer sand or a sand/soil mix, just so it's not pure sand. But I like the slate tile. It's very easy to clean. There's also other options you can use, such as reptile carpet, but you have to make sure that their nails aren't too sharp because they can get caught on it very easily. There's also non-adhesive shelf liners you could use and a variety of different options that would be good for the bearded dragons. He's so cute. The lighting requirements for a bearded dragon is very important for their health and well-being. With improper lighting, they can develop certain diseases that will affect them later on in life. To prevent this, you need the proper lighting, and for right now, Spyro has a 150 watt basking lamp on a dimmer switch so I can control both the basking spot and also the temperature throughout the entire enclosure. The dimmer switch is very nice for when the seasons are changing and the temperatures are fluctuating. Heat is very important for a bearded dragon's digestion. They're using this heat in order to digest their food. For a bearded dragon, you want your basking spot to be about 100 degrees Fahrenheit to 110 degrees Fahrenheit, and a little bit on the warmer side if you have a baby bearded dragon. They do need a little bit more heat to digest their food. Typically, I like to use what's called a temperature gun to take the surface temperature of the basking area, and this seems to be the easiest and most effective way to do so. Along with your heat, you're going to need what's called a UVB bulb. I'm using the brand Reptiles 10.0 and it is a T8 fixture. The T8s need to be mounted inside of the enclosure, so I have some heavy-duty Velcro along with a fixture I bought from Walmart in the enclosure. So unless Spyro's in his hide, he's always getting the UVB that he needs because I'm using a tube UVB, so it spans a good chunk of the tank, so they're always getting what they need. UVB is very important because it simulates the sunlight in their natural environment, and this helps them produce something called calcium D3. This calcium is very important because it is used for bone development, and without it, they can actually develop metabolic bone disease, which deforms the skeletal structure over time. This cannot be cured, but it can be treated. So UVB and heat are both very important. All right, let's talk about his diet. So for a bearded dragon, they need to be eating both insects as well as leafy greens. When they're babies, they eat a lot more insects than when they're adults. When they're babies, they can eat up to 60 insects a day as they're growing, and when they're adults, Spyro only gets about 40 insects a week or so. So definitely a lot less than when he was a baby. But he does eat greens every single day. It's very important for adults to get their greens. But for insects, I feed him dubia roaches, super worms. Hornworms are very good to feed. I'll try to find a clip of him eating a hornworm here. But hornworms are really good for hydration. Super worms can be a little bit fatty, so you definitely don't want to give it to them all the time, or else they can develop liver issues and also weight issues. But dubia roaches are probably one of the most nutritional. A lot of people do feed them crickets as well. I personally don't, because if they get lost in the tank, they can actually bite your bearded dragon at night. He also gets phoenix worms, which are very high in calcium. You also want to make sure that you're using a good calcium and vitamin supplement powder during their feedings. So every couple of times a week, you want to give them that. It's also very important for their calcium intake as well as vitamins. Look at him go. Yeah, so their diet's definitely very important. They can eat a lot, and sometimes it can get a little bit pricey, so that's another reason sometimes people shy away from bearded dragons, especially for children when the parents have to kind of buy everything for them. But if you're willing to do that, bearded dragons are a very amazing pet. It's fun watching them eat. I will talk to you a little bit more about his salads. So before I get into his salad, I want to talk to you guys a little bit about the supplements that I use. These are all supplementation powders. So these are the brands that I use. I use Herptivite for his multivitamins, and then the Reptile Calcium by Zoomed for his calcium without D3, as well as his calcium with D3. I kind of alternate between all these when he gets his insect feedings, just to make sure he's getting enough and not too much of anything. If they do get too much of the calcium with D3, which is also what they produce with the UVB light, they can also develop some issues, just like if they were getting too little. So you want to be careful of that. So it's very easy to get this onto his insects. I just put them into a container and shake them up with it, and it sticks to them, and then they're ready to feed them. Alright, let's get to his salad. Alright everybody, so about 80% of Spyro's diet at this point is greens. They're very nutritious for him. Right here is some dandelion greens as well as some escarole. There's many different greens that you can give them, like collard greens, mustard greens, turnip greens, dandelion, escarole. They really like arugula. If your dragon is not eating its salad, then try something a bit more fragrant like arugula or mustard greens. They have a good scent and tend to draw the bearded dragons to them. Alright, I'm going to get this cut up so we can give it to Spyro. Alright everybody, so now I have Spyro's dandelion greens and escarole all cut up and rinsed. I took out any of the real big stems, but I left some of the smaller ones because he'll be able to get through those. Alright, let's go give it to Spyro. Spyro has actually been doing a really amazing job eating his salads lately. He's been doing very good. I've been putting this bee pollen powder onto his salads every once in a while, every couple of days. This helps to kind of stimulate appetite, and just like the mustard greens and the arugula, it has a very good scent to them, so it kind of attracts them, helps them start eating their salads. So if you're having a picky eater, you can definitely use some of this and it should help. It's also very good for their immune systems. So I'm just gonna pour a little bit of that on there. That should help them start eating it. So for the end of my video, I wanted to take Spyro outside for some outdoor time. The natural UVB outside can be very good for them. I do have a little harness for him, keep him safe out here. But natural UVB, about an hour of it outside in the natural sunlight is about equivalent to 8 hours of UVB under their UVB lamp. So I love taking him outside, and as you saw by him jumping at the window in the beginning of this video, he really loves the outdoors, and I love taking him outside, and it's finally warm enough to do so. So I'm very excited about that. Alright, I'm going to give him some playtime out here, about an hour in the sun, just to kind of warm him up a little bit and get him moving for the springtime. Alright, I hope everybody has a beautiful day.